Welcome to Harbor Rock Wealth Management's Planning Tip of the Week. My name is Ruben Smith, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend and partner, Jimmy Lester. Welcome back.
It's glad to be seen. Thank you.
Good to be seen. Well, today we're going to talk about, or this week we're going to talk about year-end planning tips.
I can't believe we're already there.
I know. Here we are. It's the fall. It's October.
I know.
Where the kids at home are deciding on Halloween costumes, and here we go.
We see 30-foot skeletons in people's front yards. These big, it's crazy, man. Everywhere I look, these huge things. I'm like, I have to do a double take. I'm all, did I just see that?
Does it spook you?
It's a normal thing in my neighborhood now.
Okay.
So
well, speaking of Halloween, you want to show off your socks? I mean, you got some pretty nice. There you
let's
go.
See, got the bats going today.
Looking good. Tis the season.
I'm in the mood.
Yeah,
cool.
Apparently.
I'm festive, man.
Stat of the day.
Okay, this is cool. So it was actually a slow day in sports history. There were some good things that happened. Actually, the Angels put away the Twins back in 2002.
Yeah,
which was cool. Many years ago. We'll be back again. But so I was scrolling through looking for some fun stuff to share. And so Bob Uecker, a lot of you know Bob Uecker out there, and most of you probably know him more for his funny guy routine and his comedy than being a ball player.
As opposed to,
he actually did play. Yeah. And for those of you that don't know Bob Uecker out there, he played with Hank Aaron at one point, with a couple other famous folks, and he was more of a backup career catcher.
Right.
He actually won a World Series with that Hank Aaron team when he was with them.
The Milwaukee Braves. Right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So what's funny is how he was discovered, which is pretty cool. He was actually about 16 and he was a pitcher, and he had a pretty good arm, and he had some success as a pitcher in his youth, and he was throwing like a bullpen for like a tryout, and I don't know exactly who in front of, but someone that could make a decision.
Okay.
Somebody from a big club.
Sure.
And they were watching him, and 10 minutes goes by, 15 minutes goes by, he's still throwing his bullpen. And, he described an upper 80s to low 90s fastball.
Okay.
Even back then. So, he's throwing pretty hard. Well, I don't know if he was really throwing as hard as he thought, because after about 15 minutes, the guy says, okay, yeah, you're looking good. Now show me your good fastball. And the guy's all, Bob says, I've been giving you my good fastball.
Gassed,
I've been giving you my good fastball. And the guy goes, yeah, I think you should go get a job. So then he comes into catching. So he was a pitcher, so he understands pitching.
Sure.
And the art of pitching, and the nuances. So he became a catcher. And another funny story that my dad used to share with me all the time, and I don't know all the details of who the pitcher was, but they're in a game, pitcher's struggling. Bob Uecker goes out to the mound to make a mound visit, and he says, all right, settle down, this and that. And the guy says, Bob, you know what? The only thing you know about pitching is that it's hard to hit. Why don't you go back and sit down behind the dish? And he said, okay, sounds good.
Gave him a tap on the butt. Good game.
Yeah.
All right, let's get this.
All right, guys, 2 outs. Here we go. So I thought those were always funny
man.
Stories, and we've seen him in movies like Major League.
Man.
He's been he was long the voice of the Brewers, and kind of made his homecoming. So
that's a movie. Major League's quoted in this office.
Oh,
I would be surprised if it's not daily.
I know, and we don't even know it at that point. Yeah. But so the actual stat is that I think it was 1983 on this day, he actually hosted Saturday Night Live. So he brought his comedy to Saturday Night Live. I think that's really cool. And I think it's you don't really see people of kind of his stature getting asked to host that kind of a show with all these comedy savants that were
especially out the early 80s.
Right.
Think about that.
And they were in the prime time. I mean, what was that, like the Chevy Chase days and all that? So.
Yeah.
So anyway, I thought those were fun stories to share, especially since we're in playoff baseball. And
well, a tip of the cap to Bob Uecker.
Right?
Yeah. Awesome.
Always up for some laughs.
Well, cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for that. I like that one.
Sure.
Okay, so getting into the year-end planning tips, there's a few of these that I want to go through. And we mentioned the holidays are fast approaching, so it's the time of giving. So this is a good idea to review your charitable giving that you've done for the year, not only to make sure that you have those receipts still, but if you find yourself in a position where you are wanting to make charitable donations, making sure that you're doing so appropriately. So obviously, when you donate to a charity, church, school, not-for-profit organization, the benefit here is that twofold. Really, is that you're able to, from a financial standpoint, lower your income for that year based off of the charitable donation, but also it satisfies that personal fulfillment, right?
Absolutely.
You're giving back and you're supporting an organization that means something to you. So you can do that by a direct donation, cutting a check, or online anymore, going online and making that donation. If you're looking to defer larger amounts of income, oftentimes our clients will come to us and we land on what's called a donor advised fund. We don't need to go into the weeds here. There's a lot more control that you have, and it actually goes on in perpetuity, or it can. But that's more of I think it's another podcast. That we could do,
that's a whole topic that we could cover.
And maybe we will.
Yeah.
And then the other one, which we also talked on, that's becoming more popular, is the qualified charitable distributions, these QCDs.
I've heard you talk about them.
And these are where clients that are subject to required minimum distributions out of their IRAs can now defer that income or send that income directly to the organization of their choosing.
Great.
As long as it qualifies as a 501c3.
Okay.
They avoid paying the taxes on that.
Right. And they don't have a choice at that point, so you might as well, if you don't want to take the income, pay the taxes, you can redirect that to your favorite charity.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's great.
So every year it seems like we have more and more clients doing that. And I know we have a handful that it's in the queue for December that we're going to be working with to send out those.
I don't think that's
checks.
one that a lot of people know about.
I think it's becoming more popular.
Yeah.
We're actually working with a local not-for-profit this year to kind of promote that a little bit more. So we're going to be working on some compliance pieces for that.
Wonderful.
Yeah. The next topic that should be considered is taking a look at your estimated capital gains or ordinary income taxes for the year. There's a strategy called tax loss harvesting, where if you do have some capital gains exposure, perhaps you could go in and rebalance or shift some assets around within your non-retirement portfolios to offset some of those gains.
Okay. Is that like you're burying them basically with losses, or how does that work?
Well, you think about if you have a portfolio and you reallocate or you rebalance the portfolio, maybe you're being more selective on what you're selling out of the portfolio.
Okay.
So you could take something, for instance, that's at a loss, and offset something that's at a gain. And break even with taxes, essentially.
All right.
So there's a lot more that goes into it, but that is a concept that in a planning tip that we, a strategy that we use often with clients year end. And then when it comes to ordinary income, if you're trying to defer a good year from a salary standpoint or your paycheck, make sure that your retirement contributions are maxed out, or reevaluate what you've done so far from a retirement contribution standpoint, whether it's 401k, SEP IRA, cash balance plans, and making sure that you're doing all that you can there. And again, charitable deductions, right, or donations. We already talked about that earlier.
That reminds me of like right there when you're talking about retirement contributions. That reminds me of a Roth conversion. So last year I participated in that for the first time,
right?
And which is, hey, that's great. One of the benefits I get now. And you actually, of course, helped me out with that.
Sure. Yeah.
Is that something that anyone in our position or anyone that can have this, has a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA?
Should everyone
be doing that?
Do
like, is that the no-brainer?
Yeah, it's not that. Is
that easy, or
it's not that clear? Yeah, exactly. It's really unique to each individual or each client, and the reason being is you want to look at time horizon. How long do you anticipate having the asset? How old are you? Are you already in retirement? What's your current year tax obligations, or what are they projected to be? And then when it comes to the Roth, also you want to look at what's your intent for the Roth IRA. We're having more clients use the Roth IRA as a legacy piece, something that they can pass on tax-free to heirs, versus saying, okay, at age 70, I'm going to start taking X amount a year tax-free from a portfolio.
Sure, it's not necessarily just an income play. It's
there's
some other strategies around it. Okay.
Yeah. So it was, and we actually did it together. We we kind of planned on our Roth conversions last year, but we have a little bit longer time horizon than some of our clients, so it's intended to make sense there. But yeah, Roth conversions can be a key component to year-end planning.
Cool, yeah.
When it comes to flexible spending accounts or health savings accounts, you want to make sure you revisit those. Both of them provide or give you the opportunity to make a pre-tax contribution to them, meaning it does lower your income by the amount you contribute each year. However, with FSAs, flexible spending accounts, you want to make sure you use those or try to maximize all that balance that you have, because it's a use it or lose it program.
I bet you that happens all the time.
Oh, I've done it. I've been guilty of it.
Oh, man.
Yeah, early on in my career, I had an FSA, and I was thinking, okay, it was down to the point to where holidays happened, and I spaced it. I didn't have a medical need.
Yeah, you couldn't even use it, which is good, but
well, you find yourself in a Rite Aid or a drugstore trying to buy stuff that would qualify for your.
You like clear out the vitamin aisle or something. Yeah, buy a walker or something. I know. What a predicament. Can you imagine? You're all trying to use up the FSA.
God.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
Oh man. And then with the health savings account, again, pre-tax contribution. These are a little bit more flexible in the sense that they don't expire. Your balances don't expire. So not only can you contribute on a pre-tax basis, but you can hold these for as long as you're around.
Nice.
So these are balances that you can keep with you into retirement. And this year, you can contribute up to $3,850
That's pretty good.
into a health savings account.
Yeah.
If it's a family, you can double that essentially, so $7,700. And then if you're over the age of 55, you can put an extra $1,000.
So what you're saying is, if I need a Band-Aid or a Tylenol at the hospital, that'll about cover it.
Maybe.
Perfect. Maybe if it's off-brand.
Yeah, generics.
Yeah, generic.
There you go. Yeah. And the last two that we want to talk about here, there's two more that I want to talk about, and it's to review your insurance and estate planning needs. When it comes to insurance, oftentimes we talk about health insurance, life insurance, long-term care, and disability.
Right.
That's pretty much
those are the ones that come
our normal conversations, but it does go further than that. Homeowners policies.
Oh yeah.
So living here, being homeowners in California, I think we both got a letter this year saying that we officially live in a fire zone.
Yep.
So you want to revisit those to make sure you're in an adequate policy.
Right.
But that also stems to your auto insurance policies as well as umbrella or liability.
I think this is a good idea. Anytime, I've been with a certain insurance carrier on my auto, and they happen to be my home as well.
Mm-hmm.
I know like how I'm covered, but it's one of those like set it and forget it things that unless there's an event that causes me to like really dig into the coverage,
right?
I pretty much I'm good. But there could be some money left on the table there, or you're not taking on enough coverage anymore based on changes in your life. It all goes back to planning. I mean, it's all connected,
right?
Right. And little things like that. Who knows? You check them every year or so.
Right.
How long does it really take? You log in, look at your coverage. Oh man, I thought I had more. Well, that's way too much based on where I'm at. I think there's some opportunity there for sure.
Absolutely. And it wasn't until I sat for the CFP exam that I truly understood the importance of that, because as a homeowner, you're held liable for a lot more than just the structure of the home. If there's accidents or things that occur on your property,
that's right,
you could be subject to a lot more liability there.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, the homeowners policies, auto own policies, those are always worth reassessing.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, well, in California, you have to have auto insurance. It's illegal not to. Well, bare bones policies, be careful of what they actually cover.
Right.
So just because you have a policy that satisfies the law doesn't mean it's necessarily adequate.
Yep. Talk to a professional.
Exactly. And then the last one is for those clients that have large upcoming expenses. So whether it's a major purchase, maybe a major vacation, but something that's on the horizon for the following year, we do recommend you start mapping that out now. And the reason being is we want to make sure, as our clients know, we always start with an emergency reserve, and we want to focus on maintaining that emergency reserve. So as these expenses are on the horizon, let's start mapping out how we're going to fund for them while maintaining that adequate emergency reserve balance. Because the last thing you want to happen is to have maybe a depleted emergency reserve and a life event comes up and now you're really stuck. So,
Totally. And that's a great reminder for our viewers out there. Please continue to share your plans with us.
Sure.
I think it's very easy, now that our service models are very specific to our clients, and typically we resort to about a quarterly meeting. Some folks it's annual, twice a year, whatever it is. If there's anything that you're planning within the next year or so that's major, share it with us, whether you think it's gonna happen or not.
Mm-hmm.
We got to stay ahead of these plans, and we don't want to get into a position where you're interrupting a strategy, or we're put in a weird spot that we have to kind of put the brakes on your plans because it might poke a hole in your financial situation. So please continue to share with us what's going on and what you plan to do.
Yeah, we're often we often become almost like a CFO for clients, right? That financial sounding board. Yeah. And for the most part, our clients are their heads in the right spot. But there are
For
times
sure.
it happens several times a year when we say, all right, let's pump the brakes on this, and here's why. It's something that they're not seeing. They have their blinders on.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the biggest questions that people have that we come across is, can I do this?
Mm-hmm.
It's not permission, but it's almost like that in the sense of, is this going to hurt me?
Yeah.
Or hurt the plan if we do this? And they're usually very happy to hear, no, you plan that trip, do the new roof, do the kitchen.
Yeah.
And we're happy to say it.
Yeah, too. Absolutely. Well, if you have any questions regarding any of these topics, please don't hesitate to reach out. We appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you next week.